Hello everyone and welcome to today's video where I'm going to be reviewing the penultimate episode of Class. We're almost at the end, sadly, of Class Series 1, Episode 7. Probably one of the longest titles of an episode in the Whoniverse. It is The Metaphysical Engine, or What Quill Did. So this episode, Episode 7, it doesn't follow on from Episode 6. It happens at the same time as Episode 6. It's a concurrent episode. Not sure there's any others of those in the Whoniverse or whatever, but it was an interesting different idea because we'd seen Quill turn up at the end of Episode 6, seemingly like lots had actually happened to her, and now we find out what had happened to her during the whole of Episode 6. So this episode focuses on the idea of Quill getting rid of her arm, which we heard about in Episode 5, I think, the end of Episode 5, when the headmistress, or whatever her name is, Dorothea, said about getting rid of the arm because she's some mysterious person related to the mysterious governors and all this mystery and intrigue and blah blah blah. So we go through lots of different worlds and stuff to try and get rid of the arm, and it's quite a good episode, I think. I quite like this one. It was slightly confusing, and as you go through it, kind of like, where are we when we go to all these different places? It does kind of just boil down to wherever we get someone new, Quill sort of shouting at Dorothea, "Where are we?" And she eventually explains, or goes off with the stupid vague, "A place you never want to be," or something stupidly vague like that, which gets a little bit annoying after you've done it 4 or 5 times. I mean, there's a level of mystery you want to get to, and sort of saying pointless sentences that mean nothing but to tease the episode. It gets a bit too much. But we have this thing called the Metaphysical Engine, hence the title, which is essentially the TARDIS, a TARDIS, because they needed some way of travelling through space and time to different worlds or whatever these ideas, I'll explain in a minute, that they didn't need to explain loads about and how to do it and everything, so they just created a TARDIS, pretty much. I think you would say it is, to be able to get to all these different worlds. But are they really worlds? It was all a little bit confusing and focusing on belief and everything, because this metaphysics thing, I'd never heard of it before, to be honest. It's a theory, as it was said in the episode. I tried to Google it a bit, but I don't really understand it very much, but it seems to essentially be something about a belief creating a world. Seemed to be the idea behind, because you had on Heaven, then Law Hell, and Quill sort of heavenly place. We went to these 3 different worlds, or places, which all supposedly didn't exist, but because the race believes in it, it does exist, seemed to kind of be the idea. I'm guessing it doesn't really work as a thing. Clearly it's not a real thing, but it was a slightly confusing concept, but I think that's kind of how it was meant to be, that because all the Arns believe that there's a heaven, there is a heaven, kind of thing. But then the Quills don't believe there is a heaven, and yet there is a heaven, so it's kind of confusing why this thing, where they actually are, but whatever. This episode is all about Quill, all about Miss Quill. She's the main character. She's the only sort of normal of the main 6 or 5, 6, 4, 5, 6 characters, however many you want to pick, of the main characters. She's the only one that's in this episode. Obviously Dorothy is not really a main character, the head mistress, or whatever her name is. And so I do quite like Miss Quill. I think previously in the series she's kind of just a bit grumpy and irritable and makes witty remarks, and she does kind of carry on doing this in Episode 7. It does feel like at moments where she should be tense or angry or whatever, she just makes some stupid comedic remark to try and kind of fill the plot up a bit. Because I was reading someone's review of this episode, and essentially they were talking about how it seemed like a lot of these jokes and silly lines were just put in because essentially not much action happens in this episode. It's a little bit like Episode 6, but it was slightly more going on in Episode 6. Whereas this episode, although they're going to lots of nice, beautiful locations, there's not actually much other than talking in each of these sort of locations, except for the end in the Cabinet of Souls, when they start, the 2 of them have a little fight to the death kind of thing. But other than that, it's kind of just the 3 of them, or 2 at times, sitting around chatting about how miserable their lives are and everything, and how they're trapped and blah, blah. And so to kind of, it feels like trying to try and liven up the kind of plot and the scenes and make it kind of more interesting, they just throw in some witty remarks and funny remarks from Miss Quill, which they're quite funny. A lot of them I quite like. I sort of quite like a character, but I can kind of see why it maybe wasn't really the right time, when you were kind of not really getting that much direct character development from her, because she's kind of still being exactly as she was beforehand, despite losing her arm, getting rid of her arm, and all this stuff about her past and whatever else that was going on. So I'm not sure. We also have the Law, from the Law, the race, the Law. It's quite a confusing name. It's Lore apparently. The Law, and this guy called Ballon, who is a shape-shifting alien, basically. But he's a shapeshifter, the Law is a shapeshifter, and he's shapeshifted into a Zygon who shapeshifted into a human. So it's kind of confusing, and therefore Patrick Ness was correct in saying we don't have any monsters or aliens from Doctor Who, because although he's a Zygon, he's not a Zygon, technically. And obviously you don't see him as a Zygon, but he's a human Zygon Law, essentially. And he's kind of just there to mirror Miss Quill. He's kind of the same as her, how he just... he's killed people, he's trapped by something because he's frozen in this certain shape or whatever, and all this stuff, and it's kind of just sort of to kind of mirror Miss Quill and to play off her having this sort of character. Obviously it differs at the point where he killed people but didn't kind of intend to, he was forced to or whatever, whereas Miss Quill just killed people, really, because she is war itself, as she likes to remind us. I'm not quite sure what that's going to mean for episode 8, but we'll see. And so we have these 3 different heaven or hell locations to go through. There's this massively pinky flowered sort of forest heaven for the Arn, which not too much goes on, a few plot explanations and seeing an Arn. Oh look, it's an Arn, I thought they were grown. Actually no, because they believe there's a heaven, they live in Arn heaven now, and we can take one. It's all a little bit confusing. Then we get to the Law Hell, where quite the nice idea of it's where all the where the shapeshifters get permanently frozen as like statue kind of things, because they've gone to their hell or something like that. And having this sort of the devil essentially for the Law as well, where you have to get some of its blood. It was all a bit strange and interesting going on there, but it was also quite a nice idea, the thought that it's impossible to unfreeze a shapeshifter except for in an impossible place, which I thought was quite a nice line and quite a nice thought, that if you're in somewhere impossible, anything is possible in that sense. Quite mysterious and completely sort of nonsensical a little bit and illogical, but whatever, I love it. And then the final heavenly place we get is the Quill sort of heaven, or where this kind of the Quill goddess lives, it would seem. And Miss Quill kills her. No, actually no, Law. No, not Law. Ballon kills. I need to get these names right, really. Ballon kills the Quill goddess. I don't know if she had a name, but whatever. And it was quite a nice costume. I quite liked the sort of alien outfit. It was a proper alien, which we haven't seen. We had the Shadowkin, but we haven't had too many humanoid-ish aliens. Well, she's not a humanoid, but that shape of an alien, I don't think too much. There wasn't anything in Detain in episode 6. Episode 5 and 4 and 5 were a few Shadowkin. Episode 3 was the Lankin. Episode 2 was the Dragon. So that was something a bit different. And we also find out about Quill and about the person that she loved back in the day was killed by the Rhodians, not the Shadowkin, which was slightly confusing. So actually she probably hates the Rhodians more than she hates the Shadowkins. The Shadowkin, I'm not quite sure, but she still wants to kill off the Shadowkin, and I guess the Rhodians. I guess it was a double whammy with the old Cabinet of Souls, where it kills both of them. So she's all happy days, really. So we'll see if that happens in episode 8. I'm not sure. So we get through all these heaven and hell places. We get the gruesome scene of Miss Quill getting her arm removed. It was pretty gruesome and brutal, frankly. It's very good sort of visual effects, but it's quite horrible to watch, frankly. I mean, the first time I watched it, I didn't look the whole time. The second time I did force myself to watch the whole thing just to see what it looked like, and it's very well done, but I don't feel that it benefits me to be seeing it or not. I don't really need to see it, to be honest. So, but there you go, at least it gives the whole explanation about having her scar thing, and it's just sort of, oh, she's battle scarred, she's got a scar just like Ballon does as well. There's another parallel between the two because they're the same kind of thing, which is a bit over the top. And they're both shapeshifters as well, because Miss Quill's not really humanoid. She's actually completely alien and different. Just she looks like a human now. Yeah, and then we get their stuff where they probably have sex, you'd imagine, and they have a bit of fun. And then we find out that actually we're not in the school. We're inside the Cabinet of Souls. What a place to be! This lovely deserty place, which. It reminded me of Skaro from Series 9 for some reason, just without the city. And it reminded me of somewhere else as well, I can't remember where now. But bit of Gallifrey as well, kind of some of those shots on Gallifrey when you couldn't see Gallifrey, just the kind of... It's essentially a deserty kind of place. The scene at the end of Heaven Sent, that sort of deserty place, looks a lot like, I felt, the inside of the Cabinet of Souls. Clearly it's just because it's another desert, but they used a sort of similar darkish effect, I think, on the picture. And just having that sort of deserty... background, I think it looked quite nice. It was very different to anything we've seen. That was one of the things I think was the highlight of this episode, was seeing very different locations to anything we've really seen so far through the series. Because other than the Shadowkin realm, we've basically just been stuck in the school / around the school and all Earth based and stuff. So it was nice to see lots of different little worlds. Clearly they were fairly small sets, particularly the first one, all the nice pink forest was quite, the on Heaven was quite big and nice, probably on location, but the other two were clearly fairly small sets. But it was just nice to be somewhere else rather than stuck on Earth again, and then to have that deserty place with the Cabinet of Souls was also really good. And a really interesting scene to sort of see Miss Quill and Ballon and the fight to the death they had. And I think, if I'm reading it right, because Dorothea says that the governors said that the gun was set to open fire, but surely Miss Quill knows it's a Quill gun, so it fires backwards, which is why it's like the most dangerous weapon in the world or something, in the universe or whatever. I can't remember exactly what they said about it. And so she seems so shocked when he fires the gun and it does kill himself. So I'm sensing that means that she didn't realise that it was set to the kill the person who's firing it thing. I think I've read that right, because otherwise I would have thought surely she knows it's going to do that because she knows how a Quill gun works. But I'm not sure. It was quite hard to tell. So then she mourns and grieves and blah blah blah. We see all the nice Rodian souls. Clearly she hates them. And to be honest, I'm kind of on Quill's side a bit more than Charlie's side now, really. The Rodians just... Yeah, I can really understand Quill's point of view. Clearly she's probably going to killing spree in the next episode or something, I sense. But I can really understand her point of view, how the Rodians, even though their race is dead, they're still taking sort of her life away from her and everything away from her. It's kind of pretty brutal. So I'm kind of... Yeah, I'm more of a Quill fan now than a Charlie and Rodian fans. They're all just a bit... don't really like them very much. But clearly that's the way it's meant to be painted, so that we feel sympathy for Miss Quill and we learn like that. But I do. And finally the episode ends, bringing us back to where we started, the end of episode 6 even, back to where Miss Quill saves the day for the end of episode 6, reappears without the arm, with a Quill gun, longer hair, ready to go on a killing spree it seems. And then she collapses. And it looks like she's massively pregnant or something. So I have no idea what that is. Am I an idiot and have missed something, or do we not know yet why she's got a massive bulge in her stomach that looks like she's pregnant of about 7 or 8 months pregnant? Let me know in the comments below if I've missed something obvious or we don't know yet, because I'm really not sure whether I've missed something through the series that I should know what that is, or whether this yet to be explained. Because looking at the next time trailer, at some point in the episode that's completely gone, midway through it would seem like, in the promotional pictures there's some pictures with her with this massive bulge and some without, so I'm slightly confused as to what that actually is. Please let me know if you do know. And there we go, that was episode 7. I quite like it. I think it was good to see an episode that's focused purely on Miss Quill, because I really like Miss Quill as a character. Yes, she does a little bit too much of the witty remarks and maybe she could be developed slightly more as a character. But it was really enjoyable, and to have lots of different locations and the insight into these sort of heaven and hell ideas and the different concepts they have and their belief and their faith and all this kind of thing. It was interesting to have that insight into these different religions. Clearly it's just how Patrick Ness views it to some degree and great stuff, but it was an interesting insight. And the metaphysical engine thing, which is kind of a plot device of a TARDIS to get us around different places, but it still had its sort of nice idea behind it really. And we end up with Miss Quill finally without her on. Clearly that was going to be the culmination of the last few episodes. It was going to be her free and ready to run loose and do whatever she likes really. And I'm really hyped for episode 8. As much as I haven't at times loved this series of Class, I've sort of at times been a bit unsure about how much I've really enjoyed it or not. Episode 8 looks like some serious stuff is going to go down. I saw a teaser today on the Doctor Who TV, or doctor2tv.co.uk or something it's called, which is a great website. It's not official, it's not a BBC one, it's just a fan site, but it's brilliant. I'd recommend checking out. And apparently they can say very little about the episode. There's a list of like 15 things they're not allowed to mention anything about in any sort of previews or anything, because it would be too spoilery. But their teaser was that there's 14 main or minor-ish characters that we've seen through the series that are going to be in this final episode, and only 2 of them get out of it completely unscathed. So 12 out of these 14 characters that we've seen before will be affected in some way or another by this episode. I'm not sure who and how many people are going to die. They've already teased that not everybody will get out alive, so some people are going to die. But I won't go into that now, because I'm going to do a series finale preview video coming up later this week, where I will have a look at anything I can find about the final episode and any theories I have on the final episode of Class. And then on Saturday I will be watching the episode and recording a live reaction video, because it sounds like some serious stuff's going to go down. So I thought, what better way than to finish the series with a live reaction to all these people dying, probably. Matthias, probably. and a few others, I would imagine. So I hope you look forward to hearing my preview and full thoughts on what's going to happen in the last episode, called The Lost. And I hope you look forward to my reaction to the episode, which I'm looking forward to doing, because I haven't really done too many live reaction videos, so I'm looking forward to that. Well, that's it for this video. Let me know what you thought of episode 7 of Class. I can't bother to say the whole title again, so I won't. But did you like it? I thought it was quite good, a solid sort of mid-7, 8 range. It's a good episode. It was a nice insight into Miss Quill, who I really like as a character, so it was sort of getting more of her is always a good thing, really. But that's it for this video. I'll see you again somewhere later this week. There might be some music between now and Friday when I do the preview, I don't know, but if not, I'll have that preview video on Friday. So thank you for watching this video. Remember to like, subscribe if you're new here, and I will see you again later this week for another video. Goodbye.